Nobody's doing anything. They're all holding.
Go get him.
Come on, buddy. One to go. The last lap. One to go, buddy. Keep it low, Mikey. Keep it low. Don't let them under you. Make that back straightaway wide, buddy. Get all over the place. Don't let them run up on you. Come on, man. Come on now. Watch the mirror. Watch it. He's going to make a run inside. Block him. Block him. That'll, boy.
3 wide behind them.
You got him, Mikey. You got him, man. You got him. Come on, man. Come on, baby. Come on. Get him in the 4. Get him in the 3 cars out. Oh!
Big trouble. Big wreck behind them.
Lead him back. Come on.
To the flag.
Come on, Mikey. You got it, man. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Michael Waltrip wins.
All right.
Our car came to rest. I'm thinking, wow. I said, I'm gonna go over and just shoot the old Dale. Mikey and Junior run 1-2. He got crashed protecting 3rd on the last lap, so he's not gonna be in the best mood, but he's not gonna be that friggin' mad. So when I went up to the car and took the window net down, I knew he was in trouble. I mean, I knew right away he was in trouble, and I signaled for the emergency crews to get there like quicker. And they were there quick, but just quicker yet. And just knew he was in trouble.
Michael Waltrip has won the Daytona 500. Tears running down his cheek as he comes to victory lane. We'll be right back.
I remember when I seen the wreck happen, I just jumped down off the toolbox, yanked my headset off because I knew we had a good shot at winning, and put my headset back on and hollered at Dale. I said, Dale, you all right? You all right, Dale? 2 or 3 times. He never did answer me. So I turned over to Mike Skinner's channel and I said, Mike, stop over there. They'd done took the checker by that time and was headed down the backstretch. I said, stop there and make sure Dale's okay. Make sure it just didn't undo his helmet and got out. Let me know if he's out of the car or whatever. Skinner come on there, he said, you better go to the infield care center. He said, boy, he doesn't look good.
We just kept waiting. Come on, climb out. Come on, help him out of the car. Come on, get him out of the car. He's got to go to victory lane. You got to get him out.
Junior got out, and again, I don't know quite his thoughts at that point, but his thought was, we're going to go to the medical center, the care center in the infield, and see Dad. Junior went in, and he went through and just caught Kenny Schrader's eye just for a split second, and he said it was really then that he knew that something was seriously wrong.
I go to the bus, I get Teresa, Jimbo, the bus driver's with us, and that's when they just got the new infield care center, and we went into there. Not really thinking, you know, anything. We get there and they're taking him straight to the hospital. So now we're getting antsy. Okay, something's up.
Richard came to the infield care center, and you're sitting in there, and you got the little curtains and stuff, and Richard like, those curtains. What's the deal? I probably turned white, and he said, how is he? I said, that ain't good. And he said, you mean like we're gonna be out for a while? I said, oh no, buddy. You know, we got bigger problems.
Kenny wasn't himself. You know, he was just as pale as he could be, and he said, took a few deep breaths, and he said, look, I'm not a doctor. They had released him from the care center. He said, I'm telling you, it don't look good. It don't look good. And at that point, my heart just fell. And so Judy and I got in the car, and headed to the hospital.
We get in a car and get a police escort to the hospital. We're going back roads around the turns.
I said a lot of prayers on the way to the hospital. That's all I can say.
So while his car owner, here's what happened up in turn 3. Oof.
Well, this is huge because you go head on. And that TV does not do that justice. That is an incredible impact, head on. Throws you forward in the car. Those are the kind of accidents that absolutely are frightening.
While rescue workers attend to Dale Earnhardt, who is still in his car. His driver is...
You in the 8, baby. You in the 8. You in the 8.
Chuck Joyce, Michael Scott.
Come on.
Earnhardt was removed from his car, and you see the ambulance transporting him directly to Halifax Medical Center in Daytona Beach, which fortunately is but 2 miles from the Speedway. That's all the news we have. If we don't get a further update on Earnhardt's condition during our telecast, tune into Victory Lane at 9 p.m. on Fox Sports Net tonight.
There, it looked like when Rusty run up there through the middle, it maybe just took the air off Dale's spoiler and got him loose. I don't think anybody got into him at all.
Sterling may have gotten into him just a teeny bit and got him headed up the hill. Hard to say.
Here's the onboard view.
Those kind of licks are the worst kind. They're sudden.
Inside. 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 Rewind. Inside. 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 Detail.
So you never had a chance. Well, Schrader was riding him into the wall. So you get the impact of not only one car, but 2 cars. Looks like right there.
Maybe right there, Sterling did get into him.
Sterling got into him, and here he goes.
Yes.
And man, he's being, not only is he going into the wall, but he's got Schrader riding in there with him.
Yeah.
So,
and lucky they didn't take another 6 cars with them.
Yeah, but that's, I don't like that. That's not the kind of crash. That's the kind of crash that hurts you.
While we're dealing with that, somebody's won the race, and he's going to Victory Lane.
Started celebrating what I thought was the greatest day ever in the history of NASCAR, and especially in my history. I mean, it was perfect. Everything went just like Dale said it would, and I couldn't wait to see him.
Come on, baby. Come on.
As Michael Waltrip drove to the winner's circle to celebrate victory in the 2001 Daytona 500, how could he have known that the seminal moment of his career would be forever shrouded in tragedy?
It was amazing. People that didn't know me a month before, now we're all standing in Victory Lane celebrating winning the greatest race in the world. Everything was just so cool, and it remained that way for probably 20, 30 minutes.
We kept watching on the camera, and this looked bad. And you can tell by the people around the car, even though it was in a long shot. Then the ambulance came up, and then Dale was taken out and placed in the ambulance. And then we watched the ambulance going to the hospital. And the ambulance was traveling virtually at walking pace, which meant either a broken back or death.
Okay, another subject. Michael Waltrip finally gets his first win after all these tries. Any reaction?
I'm very happy for him. I just wish he could enjoy it a little more because his boss is not there to help him.
Kenny, let me ask you, I know you've been thrown this question several times and you're just getting out of the care center, but you made your way over to Dale's situation. What's going on there?
I don't really know. I'm not a doctor. I mean, I got the heck out of the way as soon as they got there.
And how about yourself? How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Just thinking about Dale and them guys.
Can you take us through those final
I don't know
moments
what happened. All of a sudden, we was all crashing. It was started behind me, but I got part of it.
Thanks for the time.
I was in victory lane, and everybody, obviously, there was a lot of celebration, a lot of happy people, and everybody seems to be just overly elated, and Michael's got the trophies, and Michael's being Michael. What was beginning to be more and more odd is no Earnhardt was there.
And I remember thinking, where's Dale? I mean, how come he's not here yet? And Dale Jr., how come he's not here? I'm sure they're coming, right?
John Graham, who is the president of the racetrack, came over and he said, hey, who's going to accept the owner's trophy? And I said, well, Dale will be here any minute. Just Dale or Teresa, one of these, somebody will take the trophy. And he says, no, this is Dale's. They're taking Dale over to the hospital. So for the owner's trophy, John basically did the victory lane interview with me, and then he had me stand in the pictures. As soon as we got done with that first photo, I looked over and Ken Schrader walked into victory lane.
Mikey, he just won Daytona 500. And what a big deal. That was such an important moment for him. I love Mikey like a brother, and I wanted to tell him what I thought the deal was.
He made fun of me all the time, you know, about not winning, and finally there's somebody I know coming to say congratulations. I saw him and I said, can you believe it, Schrader? I won the Daytona 500. And he just grabbed me and said, it's not good. And I was like, well, it's not really that bad that I won the Daytona 500, is it?
I just told Mikey that, you know, that I was awful happy for him and stuff. But no, listen, Mike, we got a big problem here. I'm extremely worried about Dale. I remember him looking at me, you know, and it's just like it didn't register because, you know, he waiting for Dale to come in.
And so that pretty much told me that, you know, the celebration was over. You know, what I thought was the greatest day ever was heading in a direction that would make it the worst day ever.
By then, I don't know what to do. I'm wanting to go to Victory Circle, but I don't know if I should. And we're on a quick off. The race went long because of the red flag, and we were at the top of the hour, and so we couldn't stay and give a report about it. Nobody knew anything. Everybody was real hush-hush about it, and nobody was telling us anything, so we had to go off the air.
Well, thanks, John. We all knew Michael Waltrip had a fast car here in Speed Weeks.
I tried to get both Larry and Darrell to concentrate on the win, on victory lane, on analyzing the race and what had happened, while I tried to piece together all the information we had so that we didn't say the wrong thing, but we also didn't go away leaving people to think that everything was all right.
We're jubilant for the Waltrips, and our prayers are with the Earnhardt family. John?
Well, I was going to go to Victory Circle, but my friend Andy Kesposito, he's a deputy sheriff. He was going to take me down through the crowd to get to Victory Circle. So when I take off the headset and I turn around, he's standing at the top of the stairs shaking his head. And Big Andy's wife she worked at the Halifax Hospital in the emergency room. She had called him and told him to get DW and get down here because Dale didn't survive.
Daytona had reached the crossroads. One road led to victory lane. The other carried a life in the balance. The sport's biggest day had become a cacophony of celebration and sorrow.
I didn't know what to do. You know, even to this day, I don't know why I went to the hospital. I really don't. Family, NASCAR, you know, although everybody that needed to be there was there.
We're just in the emergency room. We're inside, and it's not a waiting room outside. We are like inside. We're not in front of Dale. They got Dale screened off and everything. So But we just know it's not pretty.
I can't remember everyone that was in the room, but whoever came in, I think it was a doctor, came in and said, "We lost Dale."
I have his son standing next to me. There's nobody in this room. So I take care of him.
And we just all sit there and not knowing what to expect next. And I remember some of us just had our heads down, and it was a bad day.
I go into the room where all the team members are at. And I remember just looking at all of their faces and just this junk. So that's kind of where we all were.
I believe I thought about Michael when I left the hospital. I thought, oh my gosh, wonder if he knows, wonder what he's doing.
Buffy was dealing with it all. You know, Buffy was talking to NASCAR and talking to the family, and so she was doing a job, an admirable job of making sure none of that got to me. Then we got in the van together, and it was the first time I'd been alone with her, and she said, Dale's dead. I started wondering how I was supposed to feel at that moment, and I haven't stopped wondering since.
Well, NASCAR officials who I knew what the deal was. I asked them when people were starting to leave and stuff, and I said, "Hey, is it official?" "Well, we ain't got any official word." And I never cuss anybody, but I said, "Listen, you blankly blank, tell me what the deal is." I was just down there, and so then they told me.
Even before the announcement, I believe that it started to filter through that it was a possibility. At that point, I remember Mike Helton coming into the media center and standing up there at that podium and saying those words that are now etched in our brains forever.
This is undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements that I've ever personally had to make. But after the accident in Turn 4 at the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt. And I have with me Dr. Steve Bohannon, who's a trauma doctor here in Daytona that's worked several events here at the Speedway, and he can explain the medical practice that went on at the accident scene and over to the hospital. In a timing issue, we're here to tell you what we know. We don't know a lot. We don't know enough to answer all your questions. Our prayers and wishes and our effort right now, this moment, is with Teresa and the Earnhardt family. Richard Childress and his family, and Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. But I'll have Dr. Bohannon take it from here for right now.
I was on one of the ambulances that responded to the accident. I was about the third or fourth ambulance in. When I arrived, there were a number of paramedics already attending to him. There was a paramedic in through the passenger window, applying oxygen by a mask. Dr. Tim Allison, who's a trauma surgeon from Flagler County, was in through the driver's window and was delivering CPR. And there was another paramedic in the window with him helping maintain the C-spine, holding the head. There were a number of firefighters that were on top of the car attempting to remove the roof, which was subsequently done. That took about 5 or 10 minutes, during which time we did CPR. When the roof came off, Dr. Allison and I both identified this was a very bad situation, a load and go situation. We immediately removed him and transported him to the area level 2 trauma center, Halifax Hospital. Transport time was about a minute to a minute and a half, during which time we continued CPR. There was a full trauma team there to meet him, a trauma neurosurgeon, Dr. Bill Kuhn, trauma surgeon, Dr. Demuga. There were several emergency room doctors there as well. We all did everything we could for him. Additionally, there was an anesthesiologist who helped us maintain the airway. But he had what I feel were life-ending type injuries at the time of impact, and really nothing could be done for him.
Those words were impossible. I remember walking out in the garage and crew guys and people that had been in the sport forever hugging and sobbing. It was the most surreal scene because people were basically walking around in a daze. It couldn't happen to him.
You know, it had to be close to 2 hours after the race when we finally made it to the motorhome, and I think I asked him, I said, "You want me to come over? You want to come over here?" And he said, "No, I just want to be alone." Because that was hard for him. Because Dale had, you know, done, that win meant so much, and to have it, and to not be able to share that with Dale, who gave him the chance, and to first win of his career, Daytona, and he's sitting in his motorhome crying.
And Michael said, this is supposed to be the greatest day of my life, and it's my worst. And all I could say through being choked up, and all I said is, Dale knew. Dale knew you won that race. That's all you can say. So.
All night Sunday night, I never slept, trying to figure out how this could happen, why it happened, what was next. We lost what I would call our franchise of RCR. I lost a very, very close friend that hurt worse than anything, and lost my hunting buddy.
Jeff Hammond, of course, former crew chief. You worked with Dale Earnhardt and competed against him many times.
Yeah, Chris, it's really kind of hard to say. I mean, I was fortunate enough to watch Dale get in his first car way back when we were racing at Concord, and his daddy was still helping Dale. And a competitor, I don't think I know of anybody I've ever been around that epitomizes the word. The man was relentless as far as his competition was concerned. We had a lot of good times together. We raced together on those dirt tracks at home. We used to go to his place and ride in the back of his boat, go tubing together. We've done some hunting together, but through all our relationship and friendship, he always was a competitor.
I remember pulling into DEI after we got Dale home and just seeing the hundreds and hundreds of people that were there and the candles and the "We Miss Yous" and all of their tributes.
In the city that gave birth to modern stock car racing, fans had gathered for the sport's biggest race. Now they come together with heavy hearts and eyes filled with tears to remember the man in black and try to make sense of a tragic situation.
Just wanted to see the paper, make sure that it was real. I wasn't just dreaming it last night. It was real. Ain't right, but it's real.
In your mind, can Dale Earnhardt ever be replaced on the racetrack?
No, but I'd like to see him retire the number. I think the Childress should. And I think that I'm looking forward to seeing this boy grow up and just doing what his daddy did.
It just left a feeling of, a sense of, indeed, that this man is truly a legend, and he's my hero. And I will mourn for him, and I know that there are millions that will mourn for him. He brought me into stock car racing, and I know that he's brought millions in. I don't know, there's just something special about Dale.
I went off to college for 5 months, and I roomed with the Bill Elliott fan, and he wouldn't let me hang my Earnhardt posters because the way he thought of Dale Earnhardt. I mean, this is a real tragic loss on everybody, even the fans.
I've been an Earnhardt fan for several years, and I just never thought I'd be there when he passed away.
I feel like this, just like I did when Diana got killed over in England. You know, it's the same sadness. Too early, too young. Never should have happened.
He was just somebody to look up to. You just can't put it into words what he meant. Heroes aren't supposed to die.
It just don't seem true. It's just so hard to deal with right now, and I just feel for their family. I feel for Dale Jr. and what he had to go through yesterday, and Teresa, and I just feel for their family so much.
He was a great driver, and I just wanted to show my respect to him. And ever since I was little, my mama, she's always been a fan of him. And he's just been a household name. I just feel like I can't watch it anymore. It hurts. It's just like sort of losing a brother or something.
Scott Pruitt is one of the many drivers who has taken an active role over the years in developing safety measures for racing. But Scott, you say now is not the time to look at the safety aspect and what could be done.
Yeah, what I mean by that is, you know, today is a day of grieving, reaching out and admiring and paying tribute to one of the sport's greatest drivers. And you know, as we take this time to mourn for his death and pray for the family and the friends and his competitors, that's what today is about. It's about the grief and the respect that needs to be paid, because it's not going to make any difference from a safety standpoint if it happens tomorrow or the next day, but it certainly does for the death of one of the greatest drivers ever.
Earnhardt's always been a true champion, and his record speaks for itself. But anytime someone in motorsports has a tragedy like that, you know, the whole motorsports community suffers. I mean, but the only thing you can say is he passed away, died doing what he loved to do. And if there's any, you know, justice, and he'll probably have to be the big guy up in the sky running the racing team.
He was the consummate competitor. He, I think he really defined motorsports for the last 20 years. I remember first Winston Cup race I ever attended was his rookie year down at Talladega, and everybody was talking about him then, and it was really an honor to watch his career progress, and motorsports really grew, and I think as a result of its growth, he epitomized to everyone in the sport what motorsports is all about.
You
although it is the furthest thing from anybody's mind right now, the question is, how quickly do they go back to racing? And we asked veteran race analyst Ned Jarrett, should the circuit be continued next week at Rockingham?
Yes, I think they should. And Dale Earnhardt would want them to go back to Rockingham next week because, you know, this is the business and the form of life that they chose. And the world doesn't stop when we lose somebody, even as great as Dale Earnhardt was. The world doesn't stop, and he wouldn't want it to stop. He would want the sport to go on. He would want his son to be there next week racing. Now, I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I'll guarantee you that that's what he would have wanted.
And we did speak with NASCAR official this evening, and there is no official word on next week's scheduled race at Rockingham, but the precedent has been set. Last year, of course, the circuit lost 2 drivers, Adam Petty and Kenny Irwin, at racetracks at New Hampshire, at the racetrack at New Hampshire, and in both instances, the races the weekend afterwards did continue.
The race will go on this weekend in Rockingham.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand how you drivers are able to take this kind of tragedy and deal with it in just a matter of days and be back out there facing that danger again. How do you do it?
Well, you don't think it's ever going to happen to you. I mean, as a driver, you feel you're going to jump back in there and go after it. And I've lost some very, very good friends. Greg Moore being one of them. He and I were close friends, and you never think it's going to happen to you. And I think that what happens as a driver is, and I think you could talk to Rick Mears about this, is when you get to the point of not having that fearless, that drive, that focus that you're going to do whatever it takes, then you're probably not going to have that spark to go out and win races, and that's probably when you're going to give it up.
We asked all the employees, if you want to go home and be with your families, go. And I can't recall one person leaving. Their way of overcoming it was to start worrying about Rockingham.
Monday, NASCAR's brass convened to address the sport's chief concern. The death of one of the sport's brightest stars has brought everyone's attention back to safety.
We simply are not going to react for the sake of reacting. And we're not going to do something just because it's a reaction that we can take credit for. We will do it when it's the right thing to do.
And the Hans device is an option. It's just something that I haven't elected to use yet. And I don't know, I don't personally think that is something that should be made a requirement, a rule. I just think that it's something that the drivers need to investigate and find out if it's right for them.
While legions of fans still try to digest the loss of a true American sports hero, NASCAR begins the healing process.
It's going to take time, if we ever feel it. I'm sure we will. Life has to go on. Somebody's going to come along. Curtis Turner was a hard-driving driver in his day. Fireball Roberts, Joe Weatherly. There were a number of drivers in their respective era. Roy Hall and Lloyd C., which is back before World War II, with the Dale Earnhardts of their era. So Dale Jr. looks to me like he's got pretty good potential, too, to follow in his father's footsteps.
The Daytona 500 was the 4th fatal accident that NASCAR has seen in less than a year. Last season, Adam Petty, Kenny Irwin, and Tony Roper all died of the same type of head injuries that took Earnhardt's life on Sunday. For more on this terrible tragedy, we now send it out to NASCAR Victory Lane's John Roberts, who's standing by in Charlotte. John?
Steve, thanks a lot. It's really hard to imagine the kind of range of emotions that NASCAR fans had to feel today. First, it was the victory of Michael Waltrip, and then it was the tragic death, one of the most popular drivers, one of the best drivers of all time, Dale Earnhardt. Now, Derek Cope is a veteran Winston Cup driver. Derek, can you make a little bit of sense out of this whole thing, why it transpired?
Well, John, seemingly Dale Earnhardt was playing defense. He has won the Daytona 500, and I think that he was looking for this opportunity for his son, Dale Jr., or Michael Waltrip, his new driver, to bask in that same glory, and he was going to give him that opportunity selflessly. And that led to the opportunity for him to be with 2 other competitors on the outside of him and to have the vicious crash that we see that basically gets tapped by Sterling Marlin, hits the bottom of the banking, and then viciously crashes at 190 miles an hour into the wild side retaining wall and then slides down the banking to a stop.
Now, perhaps that one didn't look quite as serious as it really was to the fan. In fact, when they went back up to the booth, Darrell Waltrip said, I hope Dale's all right. It looks like he is. That definitely was not the case. And to make this thing really a little bit more worse, as you go inside the car there, Derek, the impact, really, it's hard to judge from our point of view.
When you see it on TV, it doesn't look that vicious, but from inside the race car in the video you just saw, you can tell that the impact is of magnitude. It's one that is an instantaneous stop. The driver basically, everything inside the race car is trying to leave, and those are the ones that hurt the drivers the most. We've seen it happen countless times in the past year, so unlike the other 18-car wrecks.
All right, now when you mention that 18-car wreck, perhaps that's another thing that makes this accident so much more incredible. Here you got cars flying all over the racetrack. Derek, everybody walks out of this one pretty much unscathed.
Well, yeah, this is a typical racetrack where you basically have a lot of cars crashing each other. You would think that by looks of this, that this is, I mean, horrific, basically. But the race cars themselves, they absorb a great deal of the impact and the inertia when they're rolling around and spiraling in the air. They're hitting the grass and they're upside down, but they're just tumbling. So they're not really taking that vicious, instantaneous stop. That really is what hurts these drivers. These guys all walk away, and you would not know that from watching this if you're just an average individual. But these guys here all walk away with just minor bruises.
Now, Derek, you've been in the car before in a situation like this. How does a driver prepare, first of all, for a wreck like that when you see it coming, but then on the flip side of the whole thing, a wreck like Dale Earnhardt's today, you just don't have time to prepare?
Well, in the 18-car crash, you basically have time. All you see is smoke, the spotter's saying to slow down, go low, go high, and you have time to really put a grip on the steering wheel and brace yourself for the impact, and then you kind of know what's going on. You have time to react, and you just kind of sink yourself down, make yourself real small. In contrast to when you see Dale Earnhardt, when a situation like that, it's instantaneous. Dale was still fighting the race car. He got down on the apron, he overcorrected the char, shoots up the racetrack, and hits the wall instantaneously, stopping every motion the car has. Those are the impacts that really hurt you.
But does racing have to be that dangerous? Last summer, Bill Weber took a look at what we call soft walls.
At the point of contact, a 3,400-pound stock car traveling 150 miles per hour exerts force equal to 200 times the force of gravity. When taking that hit, current concrete walls do not give at all. The result is that only about 5% of that violent energy is absorbed by the wall. The remaining 95% has nowhere to go but back into the car and through the driver's body. Race cars are designed to draw some of that energy away from the driver, but not nearly enough. At some point, the wall needs to take its share of the energy. Several so-called soft walls are currently in development. Some are already in place. They range in construction from space-age material to the most simple in design. Tire walls, used race tires piled and roped together, have been a mainstay at road courses for decades. They only recently debuted on an oval. Mark Blundell suffered a broken foot and a concussion during Clark's first visit to Rio in 1996. The next year, the track installed tire walls in that same turn. Two cars ended up in the wall. The tires gave way to the impact, and both drivers walked away unharmed. But tires may be too forgiving for stock cars, which weigh twice as much as an Indy car. In 1998, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway developed and installed an impact absorption system inside Turn 4. During the IROC race that August, Ari Lyondike unwillingly tried it out.
And cars all over the track as a mammoth collision. A mammoth collision. Lyondike is involved.
Amazingly, the former Indy 500 champion walked away, but the nearly full hour of cleanup time created a reluctance to install the system full-time. Using a poor man's version of Indy's system, many short tracks around the country employ styrofoam blocks. Again, the mess is a turnoff to many large track operators. Just last month at Watkins Glen, a combination of styrofoam, tires, and a guardrail may very well have saved the life of Busch Series driver Jimmy Johnson. But durability, withstanding more than one accident, is a problem with the current system. At least one group thinks they have the solution.
It's made basically from PVC and rubber. There are PVC pieces connect together, glue together, and piece of rubber and some accessory for connect to bed.
Euro International, based in Indianapolis, produces the impact protection system, 6-by-4-foot units that can be bolted to existing concrete walls. In a head-on 60-mile-an-hour collision, the IPS system absorbed almost 95% of the impact's kinetic energy, the total opposite of current concrete walls.
The waves react and absorb the energy. The first part distribute the energy, the second part absorb the energy. In the way that you assemble the waves together in this block is the way that you absorb more energy and you make longer the impact.
At about $900 per unit, a 1.5-mile oval could be completely fitted with the IPS system for about $1.2 million. The units are very portable and highly durable, capable of sustaining 3 direct impacts before replacement. Formula One tracks at Spa, Imola, and Nürburgring have already installed IPS. In America, both Laguna Seca and Mid-Ohio have placed orders. Some American ovals have inquired about the system, but there have been no takers yet. At least 2 other major soft wall systems are also available, including a cardboard-based system from racing safety pioneer Bill Simpson. With so many options, the question remains, why aren't they showing up at the track? Most track owners will not discuss the soft wall topic publicly. Those that will cite cost and reliability as issues. Some, however, are simply waiting on the American sanctioning bodies to give the word.
I'd like to ask you to do something. I'd like to ask you to take the hand by the person beside you. Lord, our hearts are hurting. We've lost a great friend, and it all seems so unfair. People ask us, how can we go out and race today? We can do that, first of all, because we know that's what Dale would want us to do. And second of all, because, Lord, we know without a doubt that he is dwelling in your house and will forevermore. Amen.
1 week after a sport's darkest hour, DEI driver Steve Park rose to the moment.
Here they're going to come to the line. It's going to be a photo finish. Park has the run off the high side. He clears the body, and Steve Park scores the 2nd straight win for Earnhardt Incorporated.
Boy, and that team, they needed that.
It brought tears in my eyes. I don't know what to say. Just, Dale's the one who taught me how to drive this place, and he told me to stay off the brakes, and we stayed off the brakes and won the race.
2 weeks later, Richard Childress, rookie Kevin Harvick, Dale's crew, and a renumbered 3 car delivered their eulogy.
Gordon's going to make the big move on the inside when they get down here to turn 3. Here he comes. He's going to drive it to the bottom. Oh, Harvick's leaving a lot of bottom. Just like a year ago, he's going to get him, though. He's going to get him. Gordon got loose. It's Harvick. Harvick by inches. Harvick by inches. Harvick by inches.
When NASCAR returned to Daytona, a son carried a message to his father. And perhaps a father carried his son.
Here they come, turn 4, final lap. Michael Waltrip in 2nd, but it's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory of the Pepsi 400.
I just was so happy I could push him home. Made the night complete, made it perfect. And then to be able to stand on the car and listen to over 100,000 people screaming, it was amazing. I remember thinking, I'm better now. It'll be fine now. You know, this is redemption.
If you watch how each one of those wins were, it was almost like it was meant to be. That was healing for us all. And know how proud Dale would have been of every one of us.